Am I onto something or what? Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Okay, I didn't say exactly this was going to happen with the software, but I had a gut feeling, the little Apple sheep tummy never lies, that this was going to be the year Apple starts rebranding some major product categories. And while there haven't been any rumors about the rebranding of the iPhone 17 line to iPhone Air Pro and Max, Mark Gurman's Bloomberg is giving us some last minute leaks for DubDub, which is really only just like a week or two away now, which means it's more likely to be accurate. And it turns out there is no iOS 19, there is no watchOS 12 or iPadOS 19, none of that crap. There's no visionOS 3. It's all being rebranded to 2.6. This is the year of the Apple rebrand across all of the operating systems to be simply based on the year in which they mostly take place. Let's begin. Honestly, this is a lot of change. I know a lot of us Apple sheep are used to the way things are and we don't like things being sprung on us last minute, but I believe this report, honestly. I do think it's correct. Basically, Mark Gurman is saying that there's going to be a system-wide redesign on the overall appearance of Apple software, that it might be a little bit more visionOS style, maybe a little bit more shading and colors popping and that kind of thing. I don't know, it's very hard because software doesn't leak, at least that accurately, very early, but we'll see how the UI elements themselves actually change. But the more interesting thing, I think, is the branding and the naming across all of Apple's OSs. He's saying that they're switching to the same thing that car companies do, which kind of makes sense because as Apple gets bigger, there's probably going to be more differences between a 2026 Toyota Camry and a 2025 Toyota Camry than there is watchOS 12 versus 11. So rather than have all of these different numbers, which you got to admit after a while sounds kind of stupid, when you're like, this year we are talking about macOS Mammoth, iOS 19, watchOS 12, and visionOS 3. It's like all these random numbers being thrown out there. Apple marketing probably doesn't like all that. They want to clean it up a bit. They want to simplify everything. So I don't know exactly if they're just going to walk out on stage and say, this is iOS 26. I'm curious if they might brand it a little bit more like, okay, this is iOS 2026 edition. And in case you're wondering, why is it 2026 if they're unveiling it in 2025? Well, it's because even though a lot of you guys are like me and like to run the developer betas on day one, a ton of people are not going to get any of the new features they announce at June until the fall. And if a lot of them are not even installing the update right away, sometimes they wait until October or November, partly because Apple is oftentimes late and doesn't roll out features that quickly. So basically, I think the number scheme works because similar to car makers, you sometimes release the 2026 version of a car midway through 2025, just because it's the next model year, but you don't want to necessarily wait till January. Obviously, Apple probably wants to release new iOS features before then, but also for the majority of the public release of the next iOS, most of it's actually going to be in 2026. Most people are not going to experience the next version of iOS, macOS, or watchOS in this calendar year. Even though most of the features are getting announced in a couple of weeks, they're going to be in developer beta mode, then public beta mode, and then public release, which not everybody even downloads and installs from day one. So I think 26 makes sense. I think this cleans up the future a lot more, so we don't have to keep speculating endlessly on what macOS name is going to be next. It does sound a lot more simple and clean, but I got to admit, having the kind of cat names and then California names for macOS, it was kind of fun. It was kind of interesting to not know exactly what it was going to be, but that's not a good reason to keep things going the same way. And also, iOS has been very predictable naming from the beginning. It's like every year, Craig comes out on stage and goes, oh, guess what? There's a special name we've cooked up, and it's iOS 17 or iOS 18 or iOS 19. Okay, you get it. Like, it just keeps on going on and on and on, and that's why I think it probably makes sense to simplify the naming across all the operating systems, just base it off the model year. And if they're doing this with operating systems, holy crap, do you think they're gonna do what exactly I suggested with the iPhone line in September? Maybe they're dropping the numbers to keep things simple and cleaner and just go by the year. We'll just call it the iPhone Air 2026 edition or the iPhone Pro 2026 edition. I know it's still kind of a mouthful. It's a lot of syllables, but it feels like the only inevitable way forward. You know, you can't really name your iPhones off of popular cats. This is the iPhone Cheetah. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound like the marketing team would go forward with it. And you can't really just keep numbers going forever. Then we're eventually going to end up with iPhone 2026 edition anyway in 2000 and some years. So I know this is weird. I know this is going to be hard for a lot of people to stomach, but I do believe these reports. I think Mark Gurman is right about this one, and and rest in peace to all of those unreleased generations. Boy, Vision OS making the biggest jump. We basically had Vision OS 1, Vision OS 2, and now we're going straight to Vision OS 26. Holy crap. Talk about a time machine feature. Good job, Apple. But how do you guys feel about this change? Does it make you uncomfortable? Do we need doctors, therapists? I can refer you guys in the comments down below. It's a lot of change all at once, I understand, but I do think in the long run, this will probably be easier for people to understand and remember, and good chance all of our kids in a few decades will just be like, oh, there was a time where you didn't go off of the year? Why? Oh, we just numbered it based on when it came out. That's weird because everything came out at different times. Yeah, like one day we'll look back and laugh of how the first 19 versions of iOS were named, but I understand in the short term, it feels a little weird. Feel free to let me know your thoughts and concerns in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.